Well, here we are again, still working on factoring. We're in lesson 6.3.1 and factoring flowchart is still here. Just a reminder, anytime you're asked to factor, first you look to see if there's a GCF, then count the number of terms. If there are 4, try grouping. If there are 3, if it is a trinomial, probably it's going to be trial and error. It is not until the next lesson that we'll talk about perfect square trinomials. This lesson is going to possibly have GCFs, but it's an extended lesson on trial and error when that leading coefficient is not necessarily a 1 and doesn't factor out. So let's take a look at just a few problems. In these problems, it is much more likely that we will try some combinations, check them, they might be wrong, therefore an error, and we'll have to erase. So let's see. All right, the first problem that asks us to factor completely is 15x squared plus 52x plus 32. The first thing I do anytime I'm asked to factor is to look for a common factor. And there's not a common factor, but it is a trinomial, so I'm going to go with trial and error. Signs. We know about the signs. If the last sign is positive, then it is either plus plus or minus minus. Since this is plus, I know it's plus plus. I know that I will need an x and an x to get the x squared part of that leading term. But things are different now. It's not just x times x to get x squared, it's something times something to get 15x squared. And right now, I am not sure whether I will do 1 times 15 or 3 times 5. I don't know which combination. Moving over to the end, to get a 32, it could be 1 times 32. It could be 2 times 16. 3 doesn't go in there. It could be 4 times 8. 5 doesn't go in. 6 doesn't go in. 7 doesn't go in. Those are my combinations. Now, in the past problems, I was able just to focus here and say, oh, do they add up to be the middle term? But now, that number in front of the x times that number gives me the outer. That number times the coefficient of that x gives me the inner. So these numbers are now involved with these numbers. So I'm going to try, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to erase and try again. I typically start with numbers that are closer in toward the same size as each other. Now that doesn't mean it'll be right, but it is where I typically start. So I'm going to try a 3 and a 5. Now, I'm going to try 3 and 5 with all the possibilities over here. If something works, great, I'm done. If it doesn't, I will have tried everything, and I will know that 3 and 5 is not the choice, and I will go back to 15 and 1. All right, so 3 and 5 with 1 and 32. Let's see what happens. I'm just trying. That gives me an outer product of 96. I don't need to go any further. That's way too big. Because when I add anything to 96, it's bigger than 52. But I need to switch it. 32 and 1. The outer product is 3x. The inner product is 156x. It just got worse. What I know now is that 1 and 32, 32 and 1, which you have to try it both directions, does not work. Well, the eraser doesn't work with 3 and 5. 2 and 16. 3x times 16 is 48x, and 2 times 5x is 10x, and that would make 58x. And that's too big. So I reverse it, and it actually gets worse because the outer product is 6x, the inner product is 90x. and that's way too big. So 2 and 16 didn't work, 16 and 2 didn't work. Now you're getting to see why they call it trial and error. And sometimes my eraser erases things I don't want it to. Now let's try 4 and 8. The outer product, 3 times 8 is 24x. Multiply here for 20x, and that's 44. Well, that didn't work. I switch it. I'm sorry, I had to pause my video for just a minute. I've switched my 8 and 4, and so my outer and my inner products, my outer product is 12x, my inner product is 40x. Yay! The sum of those is 52x. So I had to try 1 and 32, 32 and 1, 2 and 16, 16 and 2. I tried 4 and 8, then I switched to 8 and 4. It is a good idea that when you are testing with one of the pairs over here, don't move these, because you'll invite so many different combinations you won't know if you've done them all. Anchor these, like I did the 3 and the 5. When you're testing these, try it. If it doesn't work, flip it and see if it works. It will get all the combinations. I'm done with this one, but if this had not worked, if 4 and 8, 8 and 4 had not worked, I would then go back in and erase the 1 and 5, put 1 and 15, and start back up at the top. So you will begin, if you work with it a while, you'll begin to develop instincts. You'll begin to see outer and inner products and add them together perhaps in your head, but I'm showing you the full process. Let's look at the second one. I have 2m squared plus 7m plus 22. Look for the GCF. Don't have a GCF. Well, there are 3 terms, so I'll go and try my trial and error. Last sign is plus, middle one is plus, that means plus plus. I know I need an m and an m. Now, to get a 2, I'm lucky. There's only one possibility. It has to be 1 and 2. If you're wondering, could it be 2 and 1, remember, I leave those anchored. The factors over here, I'll switch around if I need to. All right, 1 times 22 or 2 times 11. Don't get stuck in that mindset, oh, none of this adds up to be 7. Remember that you have to look at combinations. So if I put 1 and 22, well, that outer product of 22m is already too big. So I switch it to 22 and 1, and it got worse. The outer product is 1m, but the inner product is 44m. Those don't add to be 7. This was my only choice, so that didn't work. So I erase, and I put 2 and 11. The outer product is 11m. The inner product is 4m. And because I'm adding, these are both pluses, that doesn't give me 7. If I switch it, and I put the 11 here and the 2 here, it just got bigger. The outer product is 2m, the inner product is 22m, and those do not add up to be 7. I only had one choice for the first. I had 2 pairs over here. I did them each both. So in other words, I did 1, 22, 22 and 1, 2 and 11, 11 and 2. Nothing worked. When nothing works, it's a prime. And people feel real uncomfortable when they have a prime because you wonder, did I just overlook something? But I went through every possibility and the answer was no, it could not be factored. Next one, I think this is problem number 3. I have 27x squared minus 21xy plus 2y squared. All right, common factor? No. Well, it's a trinomial, so here I go. Last sign is plus. That means plus plus or minus minus. So in this case, it's minus minus. I know that I'm going to need a number with x, but I have a y squared. So I'm going to need a number with y. 27. It could be 1 times 27. 2 doesn't go in there, but 3 goes in there 9 times. 4 doesn't go in there, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's it. Those are all my factors. 2, 1 times 2. All right. I think I'm going to stay away from 1 and 27 because that 27 is bigger than what I want the sum to be. So I'm going to go with 3x and 9x with my 1 and 2. I may have them in the wrong spots, and I'll switch them if they don't work. 3x times negative 2y is negative 6xy. Negative 1y times 9x is negative 9xy. Add them together for negative 15, and that doesn't work. So my eraser will cooperate. Switch it to 2 and 1. The outer product is negative 3xy. The inner product is negative 18xy. And when you add those, you get negative 21xy. Yay, it worked. This 1 is usually implied and not written. Most probably the answer should be written 3x minus 2y times 9x minus y. The order of the factors could change. You could have 9x minus y, 3x minus 2y. But the positions within there should not change because they are set for the outers and inners to work out just right. All right, this one looks a little bit small. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And these numbers look kind of big. So I have 77x squared minus 136x plus 60. Alrighty. GCF. No, I don't see any. So I'll go try my trial and error. Signs. Last sign is positive, means plus plus or minus minus. I know I need an x and an x. To get a 77, it could be 1 times 77, or it could be 7 times 11. 60. Now 60 has a lot of factors. It could be 1 and 60, but 2 goes in there 30 times. 3 goes in there 20 times. 4 goes in there 15 times. 5 goes in there 12 times. 6 goes in there 10 times. 7 doesn't go in, 8 doesn't go in, 9 doesn't go in, and we're back to 10. So I may be at this problem for a little while. I'm going to start with 7 and 11. It's just a choice. And I think I'll start down here and I'll move up. All right, let's go 6 and 10. That gives me, and I'm not going to write them, I guess I will write them. That gives me negative 70x, and this gives me negative 66x, and I am quite surprised those add up to be negative 130x. We got it first try. I told you earlier that I like to start with factors that are close toward each other. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This one worked out great. So this is a matter of patience, writing down your list, anchor a set, Try all your combinations. Go in any order you want, but keep up with what you try. Things don't work, you switch them, but don't switch these. Take 7 and 11 and run through all of this. 1 and 60, 61, 2 and 30, 32, and so on. I started at the bottom, and I was really lucky. I wasn't sitting here looking at the answer. So, give it a try. Persevere.